We are recording to the cloud, and this is Andrea Goeglein. And for the second time today, I'm having the opportunity to talk to one of our Hey Boss Lady podcast guests from either 19 or 20 or 21, and doing a bit of a catch up. I am Andrea Goeglein, and with me is both a longtime friend and one of our most intriguing Hey Boss ladies, my friend Linda Neal. Now, I'll give you her proper title because we've got to have a few proper titles, as you can see from the beautiful background, unlike my menagerie of a background. Linda is the CEO. I know I'm not to call you a vintner. You are the CEO and sole owner of Terra Roja Vineyards, and you're the CEO of Obsession Wine Company. And yes, go ahead, Linda, say something.
Hi, Andrea. It's such a treat to get to see you, and I look forward to catching up on our lives after this. Yes, it's okay to call me a vintner. It's just not okay to call me a winemaker.
Winemaker. That's what it was. I remembered in the conversation, and you know my extensive knowledge with wine. I can get befuddled in that field really quick.
Yeah.
Linda, I want to read to you what it was you said when we ended our Hey Boss Lady podcast back in December of 2020. Such a, you know, an incredible moment in time. Christy Atwater had developed this question, what brings you hope? And you had just experienced in the Napa Valley yet again, in addition to the pandemic, a whole series of fires. And what I love about our friendship is that we're on different parts of the political spectrum, and we always have conversations about that, very peaceful conversations about that, where we disagree terribly. However, what you had said at that time has so much relevance to where we are right now. And I'm scrolling down in uh, the transcript, and what you basically said is that there's a number of burned out areas, and when the government bureaucracy does make it impossible sometimes to rebuild, that's a tragedy. So, your hope was that, in fact, after those fires, the bureaucracy would calm down a bit and the people would have the opportunity to rebuild. We have a whole bunch of places in our country that have gone through various. I was in Asheville for the hurricane. You live in California, and know well what's gone on in Southern California. We have differences of opinion what the government should and should not do around these things. So tell us, how California do? How did you get to rebuild there the way you needed to?
I think it was not uniformly successful, and part of that had to do with insurance companies
Hmm.
as well as the bureaucracy. So I'd
Okay.
say that one of the big stumbling blocks that uh, I would say lay at the feet of bureaucracy, other people would say is a great idea, is that everything that had to be rebuilt to current codes. So if you had a 20-year house,
Mm-hmm.
or in my case, a 120-year-old house,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say your insurance was based on the value of that, as opposed to the value of the cost of rebuilding it. Some of those structures never did get rebuilt.
Okay.
But many of them did. People found a way to do it, whether they had to dig deeper in their pockets.
Right.
Structures that, I know that people had hoped would be rebuilt in a year. Some of them still haven't been rebuilt. I'd say most of them 2 to 3 years. But uh, the human spirit keeps going, overcomes. and finds a
Mhm.
way to get it done. And so I'd say for the most part, people have found a way to get it done.
Yeah, Linda, that's something that you and I really share. And that was really what I wanted to check in. The whole concept of the various things that I work in across the spectrum and across the 40 years of doing this really centers around mindset. And as each of us keeps progressing, if we're lucky enough to stay here, we hope to keep progressing in some way. And individuals like yourself who, stepped out of your comfort zone by a lot by joining the Peace Corps in your late 50s and early 60s and had to learn, you know, Arabic in order to do it, and then get airlifted out while you had your business running back in the Napa Valley. I mean, you're a pretty extraordinary human when it comes to seeing the possibility. And I will say, my term, you are a very, I can really respect your opinions when it comes to things on bureaucracy. So, because you are an optimist, where you are now, fill us in. What do you hope to grow? What do you hope to pull back? You know, we're all 5 years older.
Well, I'm looking for the next challenge. I'm not sure exactly what that next challenge is going to be, Andrea. I'm very, very busy. My wine business is roughly about the same size as it was because I had already gotten rid of the second winery in the foothills. And
Correct.
so,
Yes.
I'm very busy with that. I'm also helping a friend of mine by being his assistant part-time, you know, but I don't know what the next challenge is going to be. I'm looking for that thing that really sparks my imagination as to a challenge. For little short-term things, so I want to get back to hiking, visiting
Yep.
national parks, just some fun stuff like that. Uh,
And
but
you had an injury when you attempted to do the Appalachian Trail starting in Southern California in
yes,
your
and it's
spare
not,
time.
yeah, in California, it's not the Appalachian Trail, but it's the
Oh,
Pacific Crest Trail.
yeah.
And
Thank
I
you.
knew that I would not be able to do it all. It goes from Mexico to Canada. I knew that
Okay.
I would not be able to do all of that at one shot just because I didn't have the time. But I managed to break bones in both feet, both heels, both
Mm,
ankles, one knee, and torn
mm,
meniscus. So, I had all these fun things going on just from walking. It was crazy. And I
yeah.
really, I haven't made it back 100% until finally I found a treatment in case anybody out there has plantar
Pray
fasciitis.
tell.
Yes, I found a treatment finally. They don't tell you about it because insurance doesn't cover it, but you take this little jackhammer to the bottom of your foot. And it actually, after 5 treatments, I feel like that foot could get on the trail again. So that was my one lingering injury. Then I managed to be in Bryce Canyon National Park 2 weeks ago and slipped and fell on the ice, but that's almost all better. So I do want to do another, just do stretches of that Pacific Crest Trail. That's definitely
Okay.
one of the fun things, uh, but it's not like a meaningful challenge, like
Right.
something that helps other people or whatever. I don't know what that's going to be, or it gives me personal growth. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what that's going to be yet.
And you are now with me in the later 60s, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I
Yes,
think I'm a
ma'am.
little ahead of you even.
I don't know. I turned 70 in December.
Ooh, I'm close on your heels then.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought I was ahead of you. I thought I was ahead of you. Yes. And that's why I want to have these conversations because I think one at the personal level, when you talk about, trying to find that thing, for me, I like the continuation of the story. I don't like to be left on the high of, oh, everything's going so great when, you're mid-career or whatever. I think it helps us grow our society when we are realistic about the potential of what you can be doing and contributing and deciding on as you progress through every year. And where, the concept that I work in is, where do you want to have impact? It doesn't necessarily mean you'll buy another business. In your case, it may be that you will. Um, but where's the impact? And I know you are so deeply involved. I mean, my first remembrances of you was your commitment to 4-H and things that you did in the farming community in the Napa Valley with kids.
Yes, and I think that's something I'd like to do a little more of again, is get back connected with 4-H and FFA.
Yep.
Right now, I show up for their fundraisers and buy, animals at the fair and do small things. But it's time. I backed away from it years ago because it was sort of all consuming.
Yeah.
Uh, but yes, I'm ready to do a little bit more with that. I think anything with youth is a worthwhile project, but Future Farmers of America and 4-H, they just turn out such amazing human beings. They don't
Yeah.
just turn out great kids, they just make such an impact. Certainly made an impact on my life. I'd say I lay every good thing that ever happened in my life back to Future Farmers of America. So
Interesting.
like
And
to push that along for people.
and I believe the last time we spoke, well, I know for a fact because I read it in the transcript and I listened to the podcast again, which you were fabulous in, and I will put the links in. You had said you were actually doing something with seniors 5 years ago, also related in that area. Do you still do that?
No, that's just come to an end. So I was mentoring a group of seniors from the local senior citizens house in St. Helena, the Vineyard Committee. And so
Okay.
we planted and cared for a vineyard at one of the St. Helena parks. And we did that for, let's say, I think it was 15 years. And then we were making wine from those grapes, but the group voted to not take care of the vineyard anymore. All of the
Oh,
founding fathers had actually died, the people who were
okay.
really interested in that. And the
Hmm.
members at earlier this year, they just really what they just wanted was wine. They didn't even want to make the wine. So just bring the boxes of wine.
Pretty damn
So
cool. I have to
when they
say, there comes a
decided that
point in
they
life like, hey, you take care of the vineyard, just give me the wine. That's a statement on
so when they
aging in and of
decided
itself.
that they didn't want to do that anymore. So, we had a mutual parting of the ways because that was the only part of the project that was really of interest to me.
Okay.
So I'm not doing that anymore. Another one of my
Okay.
pet projects was the Home for Mentally Disabled Adults, Vine Village down in Napa, but they got closed down by COVID, so I don't have that group anymore. So I
Okay.
need to find something new. I'm involved in something now called Curcio, which is a really fabulous organization that puts on Christian retreats for people. It's really just an amazing experience. If you ever get a chance to go, then go. Uh, and so that's one thing that I'm doing. But mainly also trying to make a little more time to see family. Just went to Texas last weekend to be there for my little sister's 65th birthday. So just trying to have more human time.
Great. I want you to know, before you, I interviewed Rita Glosser, and she was 87 when we interviewed her the first time, and she's soon to be 92. And it is so amazing how the people connection as much as what changes all around, what does not change and in fact increases is the calling in and the connection with other people through every means possible.
Well, I remember when I first one of my life stages, and I want to say it was probably after the divorce. It could have been after selling the one of the wineries. But you asked me, how has that changed your life? And I said, well, for example, I just had a cousin that needed to go to the hospital, and I was able to take her to the hospital and spend a lot of time with her. And in my
Right.
former life, I would have sent somebody to take her, right?
Right. And,
So,
and having Richard at this stage that he is in life, what I know that although it's not natural to me, I have been adjusting my schedule and I do sit on the sofa and watch more like because he does have mobility as issues, I am finding that I spend more time doing the one thing that he can do. And I think that when you have that privilege, I say this to younger women who have young children who, are the younger versions of us who are always doing everything. And then they have children and of course schedules and that real friction that on that end of life. When you have the ability to make the time, make it because you will regret it if you don't. And it's
right.
so much easier to make the time than it is to resolve the regret.
Yes, Andrea, such great advice. You always have the best advice.
And that's why you're my friend. That's why you just say all of these things to me. Well, Linda, there was one other aspect. And do you, is the Future Farmer Leaders of America, Future Farmer,
FFA,
what,
so Future Farmers of America.
Future Farmers of America, is that a government program?
No,
Oh, okay.
well, except in the sense that it's run through the schools. So schools are
Run through the
government, so I have to
schools.
say yeah. So in order to be, it's high school only, whereas 4-H is open to all ages. Nice little accessories out there. 4-H is open to all ages, whereas you have to be in high school, you have to be enrolled in an ag class, you have to have an entrepreneurial project. Although in
Okay.
recent years, you can have the option of a science project, but
Okay.
in order to meet that you know, 3-part commitment. So it's
Hmm.
classroom, leadership, activities, and an entrepreneurial project. And
Okay.
so because it's done through the schools, yeah, it is government.
Okay. Well, let's hope that it does not get negatively impacted because the sincerity to which I know you to be a good critic of programs and a good critic of bureaucracy, like you, whether it was the Peace Corps, whether it's FEMA, like you experience these things and I don't find you to be a rager. I find you to be an observer of the system, and you're pretty clear on how things could be made better. So when there's a program that you think has impact, I am always hopeful that it's not going to get hurt, for sure.
I
Uh,
hope so too.
Well,
Uh,
there is one question because I don't want to keep you with having to hold your phone all over the place. And the question that I'm
it's
broaching,
getting
because
on
I'm
sense now, so it's good.
Oh, okay, great. Um, I'm working on this. I had this experience where in the last 2 years, someone has taken on the Don't Die. I have the trademark Don't Die inspirational books. And this person has taken it on, and he's a person of great wealth who spends close to $2 million. He's a young man, $2 million a year attempting to never die, which is the exact opposite of what my work is. I focus on don't die, live every second. He focuses on truly don't die, and spends an enormous amount of money trying to achieve that for himself. And I decided to do one last Don't Die book, and it's going to be Don't Die Unforgiven, which, touches into the research on what we need to do to live our best life by remembering to forgive ourselves for the things we wish we had done a little differently and not letting them hold us back. So I know you were totally unprepared for anything in that realm, but where you stand today, knowing that you want to be inspired to find something else of impact, is there something that you don't want to die, not forgiving yourself for doing? Like it's now or never.
My first reaction is no. You know, I,
Yes.
I literally have two unfulfilled goals. I need more goals. I, I haven't built a piano and I haven't built
Okay.
a golf course. Those were two goals left unfulfilled. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have any regrets of decisions I've made in the past or failures in the past, because certainly
Sure.
I've had many. I think if you've had no failures, you've just never tried to do anything. So,
Correct.
yeah, I wish some of those things would have gone a different way, but at the same time, I don't regret my,
Correct.
trying to do them. Okay. So, things, I'm sure there's way more I want to do, but I haven't discovered it yet.
Well, I think building a golf course would be really interesting.
And I sort of substituted building world-class vineyards for that niche. And,
Yes.
it was a goal back when I worked with golf course people. And then when I started working with vineyard people, I sort of scratched the itch by doing that.
Okay.
Um, but it's still, it's still something I was going to do that didn't do.
Well, what I appreciate is that throughout this conversation, you have touched on several times that what knowing what you know today in your late 60s, there are still itches to be scratched.
Oh, absolutely. The day you don't have, you know, you have to have a reason to get up every day. I
Yeah.
get up between 5 and 6 every day, depending on the weather, whether, anybody's waiting out there to go prune a vineyard with me or not, because there's so much to do. So I'm so grateful to have so much to do. And I'm just so grateful for where I live, the friends of my life, having, you know, somewhat meaningful work. I mean, I
Yes.
think agriculture is a high calling, and yeah,
Yeah.
making wine, maybe not a high calling, but it makes people happy. So you
Makes people really happy.
got to give some credit to that, right? So,
You bet. Well, Linda, I want to thank you. It was a blessing you coming into my life, and the fact that we get to continue this path together is really very special to me. And I just want to thank you for joining me today, updating us, and giving us a little peek into how we should think about going forward for ourselves.
well, thank you, Andrea. I always appreciate being involved in any of your projects, and this Boss Lady project is super fun. So thank you
Yep.
for including me.
Well, you're very, very welcome. And I will turn off this recording and then we'll get to chat a few minutes more. So
Okay.
I am Andrea Goeglein. Thank you for joining us. I am now going to turn off the recording so I can continue to have a conversation with my girlfriend. And all the information about Linda's winery and her wine and the work that she does, and the link to the Hey Boss Lady podcast that she was originally on, will all be in the description below. Thank you.